Alright, so today we're gonna do something slightly different from what I normally do. May nag-request kasi sa akin na student and friend to do something more akin to a post-action analysis. So that's what we're gonna do. Ano ang post-action analysis? Ang post-action analysis is how I look back sa charts. So whenever I review, to see kung if there's something I should have done, if I made a mistake, if there's something I shouldn't have done. And then I try to review yung mga circumstances na nangyari to see if there's something I need to adjust moving forward para kung meron man akong na-miss or kung meron man akong pagkakamali, hindi ko na siya maulit-ulit. So today, we'll be doing a post-action analysis on green. And this is how green's chart looks today, no? As you can see, I've mapped out all the levels. One of the level is blue. I'll explain why later. Then I've drawn zones in certain areas and I'll explain why later as well. But ito yung pinaka-up-to-date ko na version ng map for green. Okay? So, what we're going to do is we're gonna step back in time. Unfortunately, again, wala akong access sa replay feature sa Investa, so we're gonna have to do this manually. We're gonna look back in time. We're not gonna discuss any trades I made or any trades I didn't make. Instead, we're gonna look at this na unbiased as much as possible. Because para matuto, kailangan hindi tayo maging biased nung nangyari eh. Ang dali lang sabihin right now, dapat bumili ako ng piso kasi umabot to ng 5 pesos or whatever. But, mali yun eh. Okay? No one would have known na aabot siya dito. Ang tanong lang is, kung nagkamali ka man, dapat kasi pasok sa system mo pero hindi mo ginawa or may ginawa ka na hindi pasok sa system mo. Well, that will make more sense as we go along, no? So, let's go back in time. First, context. Okay? This blue line is yung high of after malift yung suspension. So, anything before suspension, di ko na gano'ng kinonsider. I started after suspension kasi I figured na yun yung mas relevant na data. Okay? So, the blue line is yung high prior or rather after the suspension. Now, ano naman tong 1.5? 1.5 is yung area kung saan sumayaw yung price after it reopened, no? So, price actually opened here at 2.4, collapsed on that day. Tapos sumayaw siya dito before it moved up again. I just chose 1.5 kasi it's a nice round psychological number, quote-unquote, that I know a lot of people will take notice of. Rather than choosing an arbitrary number like 1.52, 1.57, ganon. I decided na since hindi naman sobrang solid yung data point, ilalagay ko na lang siya sa 1.5. Okay? Now let's start. When price was moving down here at the time, there was no reason to actually trade this. Yes, you could have traded the bounces, but that's not what we're gonna look at. We're gonna look at what happened post lockdown, the 2020 lockdown, no? So, ito yung low na naganap. So, around this area, so 65 cents. At the time, I am sure walang maraming excited na bumili. A lot of people were panicking, and there was actually no reason to catch a falling knife. Not at this point. So, ang next na nangyari was price pushed up, then consolidated. Okay, itong nag-consolidate siya sa area na to. Just let me grab the tool. Nag-consolidate siya sa area na yan. Okay? Then moved higher again. Then eventually, we consolidated in this area again. Okay, and then this area. Then that area. Okay, I'm just marking them all out para tuloy-tuloy yung discussion natin. Now, upon looking at this, itong consolidation na to, that was actually a trade that I should have taken. Bakit? Kasi very clear and defined yung risk-reward, while at the same time, sobrang laki ng reward compared to the risk. And isn't that what we're looking for naman? So at this point in time, a trade could have been taken, sabihin natin somewhere within that range. Okay, let me just lift that up, move that down. So somewhere within that range to target tong 1.5 or slightly lower na area. Mga 1.4, 1.5. That would have netted a 4:1 risk-reward na trade. So yan yung first sign na a trade could have been made. Why would the trade have been made there? For me at least. Kasi ang linis eh. We came down, bottomed out, consolidated. Now, was I sure na price was gonna go up? Of course not. That's ridiculous. But the risk-reward at 4:1 was astounding. It was a risk that would have been worth taking even if it meant na liliitan mo ng konti yung position size mo due to the conditions of the market. So that's one, no? That's a trade that I should have made. I didn't make it, to be perfectly honest. This is the only time that I'm gonna discuss ano hindi ko nagawa. But I didn't make it at the time. Okay? Sayang. Now, price moved up, consolidated here. At this point, would I have considered jumping in considering meron dito? For me, hindi. Okay, wala akong maling ginawa dito. Kasi, bakit? Kasi, yung risk-reward, hindi na siya as appealing sa akin eh. Kunyari sabihin natin, naglagay ako ng cut dito sa baba na tong level na to, di ba? Ito yung bottom end of the range. Parang mali eh. Parang I'm cutting into yung move up eh. Pwedeng mag-hold as support anywhere from up to here, wherever. So, hindi ako comfortable, technically speaking. Yes, I could have made a discretionary call. But for me, hindi mali na hindi pumasok sa area of consolidation na yan. Dito mali because the risk-reward was great. Dito, not so much. Diba? Especially if you were just aiming for 1.5. So, price moved on. Now, at this juncture, ano yung nangyayari? Just let me zoom in a bit, no? At this juncture, ano yung nangyayari? Ang iniisip ko at the time was, okay, we're possibly forming a head and shoulders pattern after the move up. It's looking like may further downside pa na magaganap. And if magkaroon ng further downside, ang iniisip ko noon was, ano ba pwede kong gawin? Kung magkaroon nga ng further downside, ano yung pwede kong i-anticipate na scenario or scenarios? At the time, I was looking at, okay, if bumaksak siya, maybe we come back to these previous areas of consolidation, and if I see them holding, maybe pwede ko sila i-consider as entry points. Okay? And kung titingnan natin na ito mga ganyan siya kahaba, no? So sabihin natin yan yung target mo pababa, it was around this area of consolidation. So even the pattern target aligned with yung scenario na iniisip ko. But what happened next? So this is what happened next. Nag-hold tayo ng konti dyan. Pushed up. At this point, iniisip ko pa rin, okay, pwede pa rin mabuo. Ito na yung right shoulder natin. We might roll over anytime soon. Then we start rolling over actually, di ba? It tried to move down. Actually started moving down. At this point, iniisip ko na, okay, sige. Mukhang mabubuo nga yung head and shoulders pattern. What I should be thinking about is, if it pulls back, ano yung gagawin ko? Talaga nga bang ito yung area na anticipate ko na mag-hold? Dapat ba maghanap ako ng ibang areas? Okay? But then what happened? Price started moving up. At this point, I wasn't really thinking about anything else. Pinaparod ko lang. Then, what happened was, we moved forward a bit. We actually broke above the right shoulder. Okay, at this point, iniisip ko na, okay, sige, I don't think we're gonna roll over. May mali na. Okay? It looks like we're gonna push higher. Pero di ako pumasok. Bakit? Kasi wala sa sistema ko pa yun eh. Diba? Kung at this point in time, pasok siya sa system nyo, may nagsasabi na pumasok kayo, go ahead. Pero para sa akin, wala pa. It's still, at that point, I still wanted to watch it more. I wanted to see what happened. Then what happened next? Let's move on. Then here, price broke higher, no? We actually broke above the high of the head and shoulders. The high of the head, sorry. So at that point, iniisip ko, okay, fine. We might target tong next level na to. which was yung 2.15 na area. Okay? Yan. So, ang ginawa ko noon was, I was looking for an entry on a pullback to these highs here. Okay, you can expand it a bit na all the way, pwedeng hanggang dito rin isama mo na. But I was looking for a pullback somewhere there. A pullback somewhere there would have meant na papasok ako around 1.9 to target 2.15 with a stop, sabihin natin, around 1.75. So I would be risking 15 cents to make 25 cents. Pwede. Diba? Decent risk reward, okay siya. Diba? Again, all of this is just scenarios in my head. I wouldn't go in here. Bakit? It closed at 2.02. At 2.02, I would be making 13 cents, but I would be risking 27 cents. That just doesn't make sense. Okay? The upside is irrelevant. Hindi ko na maalam kung tataasan o bababa. Ang alam ko lang is if bumaba nga, ang laki ng risk ko compared sa possible na reward. Now, a lot of people at this point, malamang iniisip nila, dapat bumili ako dito, dapat bumili ako dito. Diba? Any one of the red circles that I drew. Now, what you need to ask yourself is, why? Alam nyo ba? Kung alam nyo at this point na it was gonna shoot higher, then by all means, mali nga talaga kayo. But you didn't know. You're following a system for a reason. You're following rules for a reason. It doesn't matter if you're a systematic or a discretionary trader. Meron pa rin kayong basic set of rules na sinusunod. Diba? And at this point na hinahanap ko is a pullback. Kasi that is how I trade yung mga ganito. And but what happened? Nag-consolidate tayo sandali. Then we started pushing higher. And then we eventually hit target without pulling back doon sa gusto kong area. So once that happened, I pulled my order. Wala na. Okay? But as of this point, sa lahat na nangyaring to, ang naisip ko pa rin lang talaga na mali ako was here. Okay? And then potentially here. But even this, hindi ako convinced. For me, hindi ako super happy where it was, what it did. Diba? And then nag-form ba siya ng head and shoulder. So para sa akin, ang mali ko lang talaga was this. Because my mistakes are not dictated by what a chart does in the future. Because I don't know that. If I knew, or if you knew, then you would be a gazillionaire and you probably wouldn't be watching this video. Diba? Alright. So moving on. So at this point, price started moving higher. I knew we broke above this level. So I was looking at a potential na, okay, maybe we could come here to retest these areas, these highs here, or maybe just go straight up. Okay? So, as always, I was looking for decent pullbacks. And for me, a decent pullback still meant coming back somewhere down here. Diba? Bakit? Kasi doon pa rin tayo nag-breakout eh. Yes, we broke out of this level, but it wasn't very convincing and hindi super clean yung price action. So, for me, hindi pa rin siya worth just jumping in. Diba? So, ito yung nangyayari. So, it just basically ranged around that area for a little bit. Then it broke out. Again. It pushed higher. At this point, naisip ko na, okay, mukhang hindi na siya manunundo dito. Gusto na niya talaga umangat. Now, if I wanted to trade this, could I have gotten in at the close of this candle targeting ito? So, 2.6 na area, 2.6 to 2.63. Now, as promised, I'm not gonna discuss what I did, but I would discuss I want to discuss na what you can do in this situation. You could have gone in kahit na on the breakout earlier. Bakit? Kasi very defined pa rin yung risk reward. Here at 2.33, you're risking 19 cents, diba? So, ang stop mo dito sa 2.04. So, 19 cents. 18 cents to possibly make so 2.6 26 cents. It's not the best risk reward, pero it's acceptable. Yes, you could wait for a pullback. But even if you decided to go in here, because you assess your risk reward, so let's just draw that out. Because you assess your risk reward. Okay. So, sorry, dito siya. Okay. Medyo acceptable pa rin. Okay, medyo acceptable pa rin. So, dyan tayo. Let me delete this. Then we move forward and we actually pulled back here. Now, that would have been a decent trade. You would have had better risk reward, 2.25 to 2.04. You're risking 20 cents to make yung 30 plus cents, di ba? 40 cents up to 2.63. Then, yun na nga yung nangyari. Price push higher from there. Almost hit target here. Di ba? Actually, it did. Depende kung saan tina-target mo eh. Di ba? But that would have been a good trade. This move higher here would have been a good trade. So that's an area na had I not gone in, I should have considered going in. Diba? Decent breakout, pull back to that level, to the dot. Then we move higher from there. Dito, you would have exited because you were so close to target anyway. It doesn't matter if it's not tick perfect. Nothing ever is, or it rarely ever is. But that's another trade, no? Now, what you could be thinking at this point is, bakit may bibenta lahat dyan? Ba't di mo hawakan? That's not the type of trader I am. But let's say that you did. Okay? You did. Had this happened, okay? Etong mga nangyayari na to, would you still have held on? I would argue na, again, para nagko-form na naman siya ng weird na shape na head and shoulders, and we have been extended for a while, so hindi ako magugulat if price moved down from here. Diba? Yes, I know what you're thinking. We've seen the future. Umabot yan ng ganito. Yes. But at this juncture, hindi naman natin alam yun eh. Okay, so moving on. Again, alright, breakout na naman tayo of this high. Now, we've seen what happened here. So, could we expect the same from here? Diba? So, what happened? We're looking for possible pullbacks. Again, hindi na naman siya nagbigay. Moved higher. Ranged a bit. You would have gotten filled around here had you still been waiting. Okay? Had you still been waiting, you would have gotten filled there. Price pushed higher. Ranged a bit. Okay? This might have shaken you out if you took your stops intraday. And then price broke higher. That took a while. So I would like you to consider na from here, that's November 10, to the breakout, which was January, was 2 months. Diba? Whether or not you could have held on, kayo lang yung makapagsasabi based sa sarili nyong mga systems. Personally, at this time, I wasn't trading this. I wasn't really looking at this. But had I been looking, then yes, maybe I should have gotten in on the pullback to sa area na to. Okay, price pushed higher. Then we eventually break 3 here. Okay? At this juncture, kung ako, I wouldn't be focused on it too much na. Kasi I felt like it's overextended. Dito pa lang, feeling ko extended na eh. Dito pa kaya. But I do realize na momentum is there. So, ibig sabihin, while I wouldn't hold on to it for a prolonged period of time, I would still be okay trading it in bursts. No? So let's see what happens. When that candle happened, pushed all the way down here, then rejected. Okay? Honestly, at that point, I thought blow off na. That was such a bearish candle. I honestly thought blow off na. Let's zoom in a bit. This one. Okay? I honestly thought na blow off na. I wouldn't have tried to pick it up anywhere from these levels kahit na nag-breakout tayo kasi nga I felt like it was so extended. While I wouldn't mind trading it intraday, at this point in time, nung nakita ko to, para sa akin, okay, dehado tayo. Then this candle happened, then bang, nag-gap up. At this point, napaisip na ako ulit. If we were gonna die, if we was gonna sell off, dapat, nag-sell off na siya. It had every opportunity to do so. Instead, it's trying to push even higher. Okay? So, what's going on? So, this happened. Ayan, dito tayo nag-form. Then, it, ranged about for a while. Okay? Now, at this point, ang iniisip ko na is hindi ko napapakialaman tong range na to. I wanted to see a breakout of this blue. Kasi yun yung previous high eh. Kasi right now, ipipilit ko, paano yun? Yung risk ko nasa 2.33, bibili ako nandito na eh. Tapos yung resistance sa 3.55, 3.35, parang may mali. Diba? So at that point, iniisip ko, kailangan ko na makita yung break from there for me to consider any other future trades. Then that happened. This happened. When that happened, again, marami na naman magsasabi, dapat pumasok na ako dito. Ang lakas sa breakout, obvious na obvious, umabot yan ng 4.94 in the future. Yes. But again, I wouldn't get in on a candle na ganito ka lakas. Kasi yung risk-reward pa rin eh. Where would my stop be? Mag-random stop na naman ako. Ayoko nang ganun eh. The reason why a lot of people tend to get whiplash tapos nalilito sila kasi papalit-palit sila kung paano sila mag-stop eh. Diba? I like a very consistent approach para consistent din yung results. Now what happened? Move on. It just shot up from there. So no regrets yan sa part ko. No regrets. Just shot up from there. And then we reached yung high natin. Okay? We reached yung high natin. Now let me zoom out a bit. Now, from that high, what happened? Nagkaroon tayo ng mabilis na collapse. But unlike here na nag-recover agad, hindi na, di ba? Di ba dito, nag-collapse, recover. Ito, isipin mo tong dalawang candle ito. Pag pinagsama mo yan, parang ito rin yan eh. Di ba? Pinagsama mo tong dalawa, parang yan na yan eh. Nag-recover ulit agad. Ito hindi. In fact, it just collapsed. It collapsed and retested yung previous high natin from before. Now, this is one thing that one could have done was nag-abang do sa previous high for a quick bounce trade. And had you done so, then you would have gotten it. High probability trade, maganda yung level, maganda yung pag-aabangan, maganda yung risk reward, everything. It was borderline perfect. So had I not done this, then this would go to my notes as something that I should have done or should be watching out for in the future. No, kung napapansin nyo, nag-drawing ako ng white zone dito. Bakit? Kasi ito yung last bit of consolidation, di ba? Ito nag-consolidate konti before we collapsed. Now, what usually happens sa mga areas na ganyan? So, yung mga areas na lagi ko tinitingnan. So, what happened? So, from there, after nun, personally, ako, wala na akong trade na kukunin dito. Would I have taken this trade? No. We're stuck in chop. Yes, it cleaned out yung lows. Yes, it swept out stops. Yes, it came back here. But, we're stuck in chop. We're stuck in range. So, it's not something that I'm excited about trading. Now, what happened when we did push up and we got back to tong previous area of consolidation? We touched it, we rejected strongly, then bang. Diba? Touched it. Now, some people will say na, hindi, binili ka niyan eh. But price never really left. We were here. Para sa akin, isang touch lang yan. Then shot down. That's why, etong area of previous consolidation, again, binaks ko na naman. Kasi ang idea ko is if price ever gets back there, then baka mag-react na naman tayo from that level. Diba? Then from there, price shot down, hindi na nag-hold tong 3.55, at least not really. Diba? It acted as resistance when price tried to break back up, then collapsed again. Okay? And then, here we go. Here, price tried to consolidate a little bit again, then collapsed again. Diba? Ito rin, actually, meron. Pero, para sa akin, since nandyan naman na yung 3.55 na line, hindi ko na kinailangan lagyan ng box as a reminder. Ito, kailangan ko lang ng box to remind myself, but if you don't want it, don't put it. It's fine. So, nag-drawing na naman ako dyan. Then, what happened? Price pushed lower. From there, sell-off na. Then, price came back. Now, kung pareho dito, ano yung expect natin na mangyayari? Natutulak na naman siya. And yan nga. And then we push lower from there and now we're going back here. So, if I was bullish green, what do I want to see? I want to see price break itong white na zone. If price can break above tong white na zone, then maybe 3.35 or 3.55 could be back in play again. Kasi right now, kung iisipin mo na, hindi, papasok ako kasi target ko 3.55 eh. Bakit? Bakit kailangan na yung support mag-hold para sa'yo pero yung resistance hindi? Diba? Friends ba kayo? Pinapadaan ka lang ba niya? So ako lagi akong ganun mag-isip na, okay, there's something weird with that idea, no? So kailangan para sa akin, clean break this white zone, then for me, mangyayari, in play na ulit itong mga levels dito sa taas. But until then, watch mode lang ako. Kasi pwedeng price can come back here, mauntog na naman, similar to here, mauntog na naman, then we push down, then we find a lower perch or maybe find support again at 2.15 and we start ranging here. Now, ganun ako mag-post action analysis, no? Hindi lahat ng kwento o ginawa ko or nagawa ko. I wish I did, pero hindi eh. But yun. Yung what I would have done, yung nandito na trade na sinabi ko, na easy bounce trade. Diba? Yung nandito when it pulled back. Everything. Yung nandito when it pulled back. Yung mga yon, I would consider doing. And what I do is I take snapshots of the chart and then I mark it in my journal para in the future, pag nakita ko ulit yung ganon, tapos naalala ko, teka, parang nakita ko na to before. So I can go back and review yung mga snapshots ko and see na, okay, nakita ko na nga yan before and this is what happened. So may chance na ganon ulit yung mangyayari ngayon. So what should I do based on that information? And then I formulate a trade thesis and then go from there. So again, I hope na nakatulong sa inyo tong post-action analysis. No, I realize it's a longer video than what I normally release. Pero ganun eh. Ganun yung mga post-action analysis na for me, mas worthwhile. Kasi ang dali lang lagi sabihin na, hindi, dad, bumili ako dito. Pero in actuality, when you look back, you need to assess kung tama nga ba talaga na bumili ka doon. Just because you know in the future it's gonna go up, it doesn't make it right. Diba? So, that said, I hope you consider giving this video a like kung nakatulong sa inyo, may napulot kayong aral. And I hope you consider subscribing to my channel. And as always, maraming salamat po. Good luck and happy trading.